Hey everybody, I am so excited to be joining you right now. Today we are going to be taking a look at the wonderful world of functions. Yay! All right, so in order for us to kind of take a look at the word functions, we have to understand that it stems from a relation, and a relation is a set of data that goes together, so our input and our output. Now, most of the time we think of linear functions, which means it makes a straight line, but a function is just a specific type of relation, so we have to understand exactly what it is a relation is. So with that, a function is a specific type of relation. It has to follow a certain rule in order for it to be considered a function. Okay, and that rule, as we've covered before, is every input has to have one exact output. Okay, so if it doesn't meet that criteria, it can't be functioning. All right, think of things that work. This is something that functions. Things that don't work. This is something that doesn't function. All right, it's a word that we use in our vocabulary saying it works together and it meets this criteria. And then what I like to think of is there's no conflicting information. There's no information that makes you go, wait, what? If I read in the instruction manual on page 5, assemble it this way, and then I turn and keep working, and then I go back to page 5 and suddenly it has different instructions, it'd be completely off. All right, so you have to understand that there's no conflicting information happening in order to allow this to take place. All right, so let's take a look at the specific formats that we can see functions in. All right, so the first way we can see functions is in a table. All right, so I have two tables for us here, X, Y, X, Y. All right, so we're taking a look specifically at the functioning. So remember our rule. Every input, and we can say our input is our X value, has only one exact output. Now, a lot of times with identifying functions, it's a lot easier to see the things that are not, the things that are wrong. Okay, so for instance, in this first table, it says, when I input 1, I get 3. When I input 2, I get 6. When I input 3, I got 1. And when I input 4, I got 1. So I'm going to take a look at this X column. And I'm taking a look. Is there anything that conflicts? Is there any repeats of a number? Okay, so I look at it and I see, okay, well, I have the number 1, the number 2, the number 3, and the number 4. Nope, I'm good. So this is a function. And why is it a function? Every X has only one Y value. Now let's take a look at one that's not a function. So here, when I look at the X column again, and I'm only looking at that column, all right, so we're going to cover up this other half. All right, I have the number 1, I have the number 2, I have the number 1 again, and then I have the number 3. Once I have repeats of answers or inputs, I now need to look at their partner. When I input 1, I got 8. When I input 1 again, I got 6. That's two different conflicting pieces of information, which makes this not a function. And when we're declaring why this isn't a function, we would state the number 1 is paired with 8 and 6. So an example of this would be if I numbered you guys as students and I said, what's your favorite number? And student 1 told me the number 8, and then student 2 told me the number 4, and then student 1 later on goes, I like the number 6. Well, that same person picked two different numbers. Again, it makes your face go, wait, what? In this case, student 3 said the number 1 and student 4 said the number 1. All right, it's not conflicting. It was two different people giving the same answer, which is allowed. You're allowed to have the same favorite number. You're allowed to have the same favorite color. You're allowed to be the same age. So please understand, you're analyzing the X column first. If there's no repeats, I'm a function. If there are repeats, I'm not a function if I have conflicting data. Right? Let's go ahead and try one yourself, right? Go ahead and pause the video. Right? If you need more time making a declaration, please pause it longer. So remember, the first thing I do is I look in the X column. I have 3, 4, 6, 8, and 2, sorry. There is nothing that conflicts, so this is a function. Every input has only one output. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look now. That was tables. We're now going to take a look at the format that's called a mapping diagram. So a mapping diagram is a table. It's just doesn't repeat the information. So the way we look at this is we want to read it going across. So this is read as 21 is the input, and I got 2. 16 is the input, and I got 3, and I got 5. 18 is the input, and I got 4. All right, well, right away when I read this off to you, I see that 16 has an error. There are 2 numbers coming from him, the number 3 and the number 5, which makes this not a function. 16 is paired with 3 and 5. Let's take a look at this other one. A is paired with 13. B is paired with 14. C is paired with 13. Again, I'm analyzing this first. I have no repeats stemming from them, which means this is a function. All right, go ahead and try this one on your own, function or not a function. Pause if you need some more time. All right, but I analyze this bubble, single line, single line, single line. So yes, this is a function. All of the data works together with no conflicts. All right, so the next format that we're going to take a look is the concept of coordinates. So coordinates each have X and Y. I could stack all of these into a table if I like that visual better. All right, but just like in the mapping diagram and the table, the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to analyze our X's. So I'm going to go ahead through each of these, and I'm going to underline my X. So we have 5, 3, 4, 6. None of my X values conflict. Nothing is a repeat. So this is automatically a function. When I go through this one, I have 3, 4, 3, 4. Ooh, now we need to analyze. All right, so this 3 is paired with an 8. This 3 is paired with an 8. Is there anything conflicting? No, that's exact data. All right, so that is not a conflict. But let's now analyze these 4s. The 4 answers 2. This 4 answers 1. All right, so while the 3s cause it still to be a function, the 4s are what causes it to be not a function. And in this case, 4 is paired with 2 and 1. Okay. The last format that we need to take a look at is in graph form. Okay, now graph form, for whatever reason, is the hardest one for you guys to see. But it's the easiest visual. But we have a hard time connecting input and output in graphs. Right? So the first thing that you need to understand is on a graph, your input is your X values. And in a graph, we pull our X values along the X axis. So X is 1 would be right here, X is 2, X is 3, X is 4. So if I wanted to know all of the spots on X equals 1, I have this vertical line. Every single spot on it, X is 1. Okay, so right now there's no conflicting information because there's only one spot. All right, and if I wanted to write this coordinate, this would be 1, 2. So then I take a look at my next data point. I can draw a vertical line. So when x is 2, there's only one spot. And so this is 2, comma, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I don't have to draw the points or write the points, but I'm just going to kind of prove a point to you. No pun intended. All right, when x is 3, all right, we only have one dot, so this was 3, comma, 1. And in this last area here, where x is 4, 5, 6, 7, all right, there's only one dot, so 7, comma, 5. So this is a function because on each of these vertical lines, there is only one dot available. All right. If we analyze the coordinates that we drew, notice I have 1, 2, 3, 7. Nothing conflicts. So yes, this is a function. Okay. Let's take a look though at the second line. Okay. Now he kind of has an interesting shape going on, but we're going to do the same process that we just did. All right, so we have a point on this line of x equals -2. I only have one dot, -2, comma 1 is where it's drawn. I draw here at -1, there's still only one dot sitting on it, so this is -1, comma 3. Notice here when I have x is +2, when I draw this vertical line, I have two spots that fall on this line. Okay, notice at 2, comma 3 and at 2, comma 5, we have the same part of the line. I can then draw a line here just to kind of complete the process, which is 4, comma, what is that? 4. So notice this area right here is an issue. I have the input of 2, but two different outputs. Okay? This causes this answer to be not a function. And the reason is 2 is paired with 3 and 5. So hopefully this video has assisted you in understanding if it is a function or not a function in our 4 different modes.